Flame on. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm here with my special guest, Najee
What,
Tech Bro. How you doing, Najee?
what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? I've been doing well. Yesterday was my birthday. I'm finally 30 years old, and I probably can't wait for the stream of Creature Commandos because I think Europa is really good. Like the animation style is really interesting for a 2D comic book style grounded anime series. Like I said, it's very interesting and enthusiastic that we're getting an awesome James Gunn project with Guardians of the Galaxy, now with DC with Creature Commandos and Superman. So yeah.
Yep, that's very interesting. But this is going to be a bit of a shorter stream tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because this topic came. This was a birthday request for Najee, so and we end up having to delay it. So
Yeah.
and we have to factor time zone difference. So this
Because
won't be.
I'll be retired right usually at 8:30 to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yeah.
it's all good, man. It's the middle of the week. I completely understand. But
Yeah.
I'll try not to take up too much time. But today we're going to be focusing on Creature Commando. Now, again, do you want to count in towards the DCU as a whole and how you feel about it? Do you want to start with
Yeah.
first?
Sort of DC used the whole like
Okay,
start
okay.
with
Well,
DC.
all right. Go ahead and rip the band-aid. For those unaffiliated, and yes, there will be spoilers in this video, so please bear that in mind. But for those unaffiliated, Creature Commandos is basically a kind of monster type group. Now, it is a little different in the comics, but for at least the live action and DCU purposes, it's essentially Suicide Squad, but with monsters. Now, you could make an argument this was a carryover project. So, regardless of the wider live action film plans with Warner Brothers, Warner Media, and Netflix, Creature Commando was going to drop regardless. There is a factor there. What's up, Tevia? But I'm trying to focus on the show as is. It gets a it's an acquired taste. It's not how I would have started things. But to make it a long story short, it's essentially Suicide Squad but with monsters, and they have an assignment to deal with an international incident in the fictional nation of Pakistan. And it does briefly reference both the Suicide Squad from 2016 and the Suicide Squad from 2020. I
Yeah.
remember 2020, give or take. I know 2020, 2021. So it's following that up with Rick Flag Senior,
I
who
mean, before Peacemaker season two, when with Flag and John Cena's character Peacemaker, all I know is that scene when Peacemaker was trying to find what's going on his way, and after Rick Flag trying to find his son's redeem his son from Peacemaker season two. That
okay, yeah. Let's try to stay on topic. But yeah, that does bleed into him, but he does not find out about any of that in Creature Command. That all that is within Peacemaker season 2, which might get a separate review because that season was pretty rushed, in my opinion. So that one kind of deserves its own video.
yeah
But as for the DCU as a whole, in terms of Rick Flag Senior's character, I would argue he's characterized differently, but at least from where we are to where he's a retired or forced out of retirement government stooge to agent consultant going into Superman 2025, and then disillusioned agent and a father out for vengeance in Peacemaker. It's a pretty decent mini arc for Flag.
yeah
But back to Creature Commandos. So it's eventually Pakistan. You get this interconnect with Bride, GI robot, who was a command robot during World War II. Um, you, uh, Doctor Phosphorus, Flea, no, not Flea, Weasel from Suicide Squad 2020. He's literally lifted from that, and Mina and this Aquafish girl, which actually does exist in the comics, but she has a different origin. Basically, it's DC Guardians.
yes
I mean, that's basically James Gunn's. I'm not going to say he's a one trick pony, but at the very least, that's his definitive style because he know it works. It's very engaging with casuals. It works, but needless to say, they fight in Pakistan, a lot of back and forth, and I know I'm trying to give the cliff notes as fast as possible because the story itself is played out through the action, and a lot of the heart is through the flashback sequences. Like each episode dedicates a portion of it to their specific origins. And I'm trying not to spoil too much because not hasn't had time to watch the show in full, and I'm trying not to spoil it for him. So I'm trying to keep this. I'm trying to keep the as streamlined as possible. Najee, you've been awfully quiet. What are you thinking so far in terms of the DCU as a whole?
Okay, okay, we got Creature Commandos. Series is good. I'm very interested on what's going on in season two, but not yet because season one was I just haven't seen yet. So, but we got Superman. That was an awesome movie of giving me hope for the DCU as a whole, James Gunn and Peter Savage as a whole. Vanderbat upcoming with Supergirl and Clayface. So yeah,
Yeah, in terms of what the sure Superman was never going to be $1 billion success, but in considering the rut they were in, going from the Warner Discovery merger, I say Superman did decent for what they were trying to do.
yeah,
And I've said that on multiple streams. Like it was never going to hit $1 billion, but it did decent enough from a market standpoint. It did
yeah,
decent. But as for Creature Commandos, like I said, it's a pretty straightforward Guardians plot, and just with the leader of Bakolistan, the princess of Bakolistan, I should say, effectively trying to pull a generic. Well, they kind of try to do a twist. Or, oh, but she was the real villain all along. I'm not going to spoil it too much for you because I'm not trying to gonna take the enjoyment of the show. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. I'm not going to take your enjoyment of it either way. But there's a lot of twists and turns, and Cersei gets done dirty in this show. Granted, it's a weaker version of Cersei, but I get why they went for a more grounded villain this go around compared to, let's say, Suicide Squad 2016, for example, because you had the Enchantress as the main villain, or at least secondary main villain. So it was safe as can be, I should say.
yeah,
Safe as can be. But where was I? But yeah, as for the DCU as a whole, hopefully it does well. It shows some promise, but I am confident at least it was decent. At least Creature Command now. Creature Commando kind of a lackluster villain, but overall a pretty decent showcase. Season two is yet to be desired. Season two is yet to be seen. Excuse me. Superman 2025 again, it was never going to hit high numbers, but decent enough for what it was. As far and for Peacemaker, the only thing I'm actually going to allude to on this for this video at least, you could argue Rick Flag's fall from grace to is not really so much villainy, more so like his paranoia towards metas as a whole, when really it largely stems from the vendetta towards Peacemaker for the death of his son, and just the and Waller and all the government sleaze and such abuse as a whole. But yeah, it does get a little high rated, I should say, at certain points. So, but like I said, Peacemaker is likely going to get a video in of itself. So yeah, I feel like at least this was a decent start. Hopefully the DCU goes well.
yeah,
But but yeah, as for Creature Commandos itself, I'd give it a 7 out of 5 because I give it a 7 out of 5 because it is a good start, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. But
yeah,
I recommend you watching the show for yourself. Now, is there another topic you wanted to discuss, Najee?
yeah. The future of the DCU as a blend with the Superman sequel, the upcoming films going forward, because I do have a hunch of the future of DC as a blend with their movies and such, and upcoming because there was news on there was a TV show in development for DC Universe based on comic book that we gotten from I kind of forgot, but we did get news on it. Like basically is part of DC Universe canon now. Yeah, it been everything about Batman now because it was based on a comic book that a comic writer is making its own show, and now it's DCU canon, and it's come from under James Gunn. Do you hear me right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so we got um, I kind of let me just find out. Hold on, let me find out what's it was on my computer.
As for okay, while Najee is dealing with technical difficulties. As for me, in terms of DC, now there's a lot of unknowns right now, especially with all the paralegal stuff between the bid for Warner Bros. Between Netflix and Paramount. But there's a lot to be desired and there's a lot to be seen. We're kind of waiting that out. But if the DCU does go forward, I would reprioritize some things. Like, for example, whether or not for Clayface, like, is this going to be a Morbin or a Spider-Man verse without Spider-Man type situation, kind of like Sony's workaround with the Venom films? Or is it just going to be, oh, we're going to have Batman in silhouette towards the end and he's going to be our de facto antagonist, but it's going to be from a villain's perspective? Like, that would be an ideal scenario. That way you don't have to confirm an actor.
I think I found it.
Oh, okay. and
So
and the Mr.
this,
Miracle. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead now. Go
is
ahead.
DC Universe canon, and it's his first adult animated series with Creature Commandos being the first one, and this will be the second one. But also, this gonna be canon to DCU, and it's under a comic writer who's making this project under James Gunn. Now, my early thoughts about this is this could be something like interesting because a comic writer doing his own project under the DCU but canon universe under James Gunn. So basically interesting if this goes well with this and how big a hit of the story, the plot, if it goes with other DC characters and such. Now, canonize this for under James Gunn? I can see going two ways. I can go with a good idea for the plot of Superman and other characters meeting up, or it could be like a stint with like Clayface and such. Any thoughts, JG?
As for me, the Mr. Now I do remember they were trying to get a New Gods movie off the ground, trying to match with Marvel's Eternal. So I do briefly remember this. So I do briefly remember this. But whether or not it's a repurposing of that project or its standalone thing, I do not know.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say because we know if it's going to be DC Universe canon, they confirmed this with the writer who's comic book part of the series as a producer or co-consultant. I don't know. Like this could be interesting going forward with this project if it is coming out under with James Gunn in part DC vs. Ken. So we see what happens going forward with promotional artwork and see more hopefully this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
And we know that Darkseid's gonna be part of this as well. So looking for Darkseid as well under this new universe. Any thoughts, Jihi, or Darkseid coming to this universe with under his project involvement?
Like I said, Tom King, he's very mixed as a writer. It's either gonna be
Yeah.
it could go either way. So I don't really have too much of a comment. But like for example, you could either have similar to similar to his Mr. Miracle run, which was pretty good for the most part, but there was kind of some issues in characterization. And then you got one like his Adam Strange series. and that one wasn't well received at all.
Yeah, I haven't watched that series, but I heard about it. Like, it's very up there in quality, but who knows? Like,
It's
I'm
kind
just,
of it's kind of back and forth. You never know what you're gonna get.
and I did hear, um, I did hear something about Green Lantern TV show in development under with James Gunn, with the whole animated side of the whole Green Lantern TV show I'm supposed to get, but under my Avengers Superman series. Like, like here's the thing:
I'm pr-
if it were canon, like you say,
I'm pretty sure the My Adventure stuff is just gonna be it's gonna be its own thing. Just
yeah,
gonna be standalone with just a series of animated projects.
yeah,
And we get Jessica Cruz as our focal point or POV lantern. She hardly ever gets. She's been getting a lot more adaptations lately. She got an entire a revival DCAU movie dedicated to her. She appeared as Green Lantern in no in Batman Ninja and the sequel to Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League. And
yeah,
I think she was the Green Lantern in Legion of Super Pets, if I remember correctly. So she has been adapted at least a few times.
yeah, and there's no character that we know that he was a Green Lantern focusing on that series, and I know that the fact that if that were work out now, but if they were meet this character with Hal Jordan or their character we got in John Stewart in a whole different story, there's no Green Lantern that we supposed to get in animation. Hopefully, White Batson, but you probably know his character. It's not what's his name from Superman. It's some other character. Like it's basically how I would say it. It's a character that we know but never heard before, but he's a Green Lantern. And it was to meet Jesse Cruz in the anime side of my Metro series spinoff. But who knows? Because I heard that this series it could be just like my Superman but Green Lantern, but also different characters like it's just complicated. Yeah, I just want to tell you that.
No, it's all good, man. It happens. There's a lot of
But
news going around right now.
yeah, but also with weapon Davidson for Clayface, you think we'll get we have Batman casting. Cause we know that Batman casting part B of that as well.
Again, I would have to wait till we hear more about the Netflix situation before we know anything for certain.
Yeah, I worry about that.
But and you also got Matt Reeves' epic crime saga. Now, I actually respect the idea. Now, I know having two separate Batman franchises is not ideal from a fan perspective, but I understand the compromise because Matt Reeves' vision has been relatively successful, and especially if you're going to prioritize profitability as a bit with that's the way to go. I'm not saying not outright abandon the DCU, but prioritize certain things and certain characters. I'm not saying you can't have a Supergirl movie, but I wouldn't have rushed a Supergirl movie if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I understand that Robo Jason Momoa as Robo. Good casting, by the way.
Perfect casting. Don't get me wrong.
Because I
I'm just
like
saying
that.
there were other
Like
characters I
I
would
know I know
prioritize.
Aquaman was something else. Aquaman was the DCEU with Zack Snyder's vision, but I can understand the whole different story, like casting, new character, different character, same character from different universe. And I know that this whole thing about um instead of Aquaman we get Robo, could Aquaman could come to DCU with the Flash as well, with different casting, recasting such. I mean, interesting. See
If I
going
were
forward.
if I was going purely from a logistic standpoint, they are
Yeah,
not going to prioritize. An Aquaman movie has a better chance within the chapter one of the DCU slate than a Flash movie because they actually want to let that franchise bury, no pun intended, and kind of just let the heat die down.
Yeah.
Now, Wonder Woman, you can get away with a new adaptation, though. If I was being logistic, I would let her debut leading up either in Man of Tomorrow or in the Justice League movie at the end of the chapter, and then get her next
Um,
and then get her next solo
I
trip
do have a question.
too. Sure.
Can it work with Man of Tomorrow with Wonder Woman casting, and how is it gonna work with the whole three people of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman? If you get
That,
Batman with this
and now
film,
you're asking. Now I get what you're saying, Najee. Now you're asking the real questions. You do
yeah,
not. You do not want a situation similar to BVS where they completely rush it. So I first of all, I wouldn't even try to make Man of Tomorrow an ensemble movie. If you want to just have Superman and Lex reluctantly team up to take on Brainiac, and maybe in with with the Justice Gang acting as a supporting role, that's doable. It's not a full on Justice League, but it's a decent ensemble if that's the way you want to go.
and don't forget Martian Manhunter because I did hear people get Martian Manhunter in a film in this film as well.
I'm
Like,
not okay. Whether or not Martian Manhunter can carry a film is a separate question. I mean, he's got a great origin. The Last of the Martians, lost. He had, and he does, and a lot of his adaptations are in ensemble roles. But whether he can carry his own project by himself, like I don't think Martian Manhunter's IP as his own separate character is big enough for that, Najee. I got to be realistic. From a pure business standpoint, I just don't think Martian Manhunter's IP is that strong enough. He has the potential to be if someone was willing to take the risk,
yeah,
but whether or not you can justify it from a marketing standpoint, I just don't know. I don't think so.
yeah.
But as for Tevia's, he has two questions. Do you think Clayface will do well in the box office? And do you think a Wally West? Look, I grew up with Wally West Flash, post crisis, the DCAU, all of it. So I actually feel that. But having Wally as the main Flash would be a breath of fresh air. I would say that. But at the same time, the Arrowverse did this especially. They gave a lot of Wally's traits and personality to Barry because Barry, for all intents and purposes, was a blank canvas. He's the emotionally centered. He's Barry was pretty well grounded with his biggest gripe probably being his trauma from not coming to terms with his mother's death and leading to Flashpoint. So to give Barry a personality, they gave him Wally as traits in
Yeah,
order to give Barry, in order in an attempt to give Barry a distinguished personality, if that makes sense. And they're similar enough anyway, because Wally is the direct sidekick to Barry. So they're similar enough. They just play different. Barry is more serious, whereas Wally throws is the type of person to throw quips left and right. But but yeah, if they were gonna prioritize a Flash movie, a Flash project, probably do it animation, kind of build your way up to it.
yeah.
And that's just how I would do it. But
Now here's the thing. My question about this: the whole video game side with Netflix and the whole thing with the whole buyout and such. Because that scares me with DCU content.
okay.
Now, Netflix confirmed basically they want it's not necessarily Rocksteady or 30 games in the whole after the buyout. So what does this mean for the future of the gaming side of the DCU as with James Gunn?
You also have to take into account the commercial failure that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Yeah,
The gaming department had taken a hit in 2025. Well, really the past 2 years back to back if I'm
yeah,
being honest. But tie-in games are tricky because you have to factor the development cycle and priority for tie-in material. That those you aren't going to be well. The only way you'll be able to make that work is if you treat the video game as a project in of itself rather than a movie or TV show. And the timing, developmental delays, that's too big. That's not sustainable in my opinion, unless you have the whole thing planned out and you're going to stick through it no matter what.
yeah,
But those would be incredibly hard to time because plans change, corporate overhead. That's too much. Now, if you're making a tie-in game just for the sake of the tie-in game, then yeah, it's doable because it doesn't affect the main movie or it's not replacing material from the movie or TV show itself. It's just a tie-in game.
Yeah.
That's the safest way you can that's really the safest way you can go about it. A summarized version of the movie's events with some with some certain gameplay mechanics.
Yes.
Th- but
Uh,
uh I feel like at least with that the trying to incorporate gaming and video games in the DCU would be a pipe dream.
I haven't touched this God since I got it at launch, and I see myself, why did I bought this game when I first saw the trailers and I wait to watch videos to want to go on my channel? Like, I remember talking about this game all the time since it's the best DC Universe game, but I enjoyed it. I went to the trailers and such point as all these different characters, and I know that's a Arkham. I think it was at the Arkham Knight, but we still got a Better Beyond game. Like, that'd be good. Like, hopefully, that Better Beyond game if that were in development,
Well,
like
that
what
Batman
was said.
Beyond game was abandoned and and they repurposed it and they salvaged it as Gotham Knights.
Yeah, I didn't play that either because I saw a TV show Gotham Knights and Iron Man Soul was not that good, but I enjoyed it what it is because it was so different from the different we got from CW, but it was something else. Hit or miss.
But like I said, that's something
You
you
see,
have games
you
is
see,
something. Go
you
ahead.
saw Gotham Knights, right? The TV show. I saw your channel on back then, like Gotham Knights, and
Yeah, I did a brief review of it a while back. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad, and I
oh yeah, I wonder. Oh man, the that series. I stopped watching after the finale when they did the Two Face at the end. Harvey Dent and said, "Why did they do this, Harvey Dent?" And people get that Two Face, his face, right here. Just seeing, I'm not gonna spoil it to you where you saw it, but I'm talking about at the end
Mhm.
of Gotham Knights TV show, the finale, But yeah, Clayface, um, interesting film. Hope it does well. As a DC Universe canon film. Hopefully, if we were to say we get Batman with cast as a teaser or post credit scene or a final scene for the ending, it'd be interesting to see what happens going forward of the Batman cast and such. Like, whoever's under the mask, we can see after the film comes out with the whole scene with her, but also with a different question though. Um, do you think we'll get more DC Universe surprises this year? like in other events like CinemaCon or for WB or other events for James Gunn. Uh, Jay,
Yeah, I'm still here.
okay, I'm making sure the
But
stream
yeah,
is
no, you're
lagging.
good. You're
Okay,
good. You're not lagging.
yeah,
But yeah, that just remains to be seen because we're not gonna know anything concrete until it's just best not to overhype the situation. Just play it by ear. That's the only thing I can say on that. But as for Clayface, if I'm not gonna say it's a flop. I'm not gonna outright say because we don't know the numbers for Clayface. We don't know anything other than the fact that it's coming out later this year.
yeah,
As for the Authority, I would not be surprised if they drop that, or the very least, or if they are trying to salvage it. It just gets rebranded as an animated series.
yeah.
I would, so that's either here or there. As for Blue Beetle, I mean, there's nothing.
The
Blue
TV
Beetle,
show side, the TV show supposed to come out. This enemies and stuff can use about that from the James
yeah.
Gunn.
According to official sources, Blue Beetle is still in the works. But until we hear anything official, I will not rebuke or say, "Oh, it's dead" or "it's canceled" or anything like that.
Yeah,
I'm the type of channel that I'm gonna be honest with you. At least with the information I have on hand, I'm gonna try to be as honest as possible.
yeah,
But but yeah, my honest opinion, the only Clayface would do great not you can get away with a with a silhouette Batman. You can get away with it, but you would have to crank the fear factor to 11. That's why I'd argue you need a horror director for Clayface more than you do Brave and the Bold. Because
Yeah,
based on the synopsis for Brave and the Bold, outside of the Ninja Man Bat scene, you really don't need a horror director for that. Outside the Ninja Man Bat sequence.
yeah. And what about that writer who did the Flash? What are your thoughts on her doing the Boyfriend movie
What
as the
allegedly she's writing the screenplay for
yeah
that. We
yeah
not
I know.
That hadn't been officially confirmed, but that is a strong rumor going around. Um
People are mixed on that now since he's been
First,
doing it.
okay, you also got to take the the studio stuff going into account. First of
Yeah,
all, the Birds of Prey movie was not an adaptation of the Birds of Prey. They just used the higher ups wanted to turn that into a Harley Quinn movie because they were really pushing Harley Quinn at the time. I would argue
yeah,
too much, but that's neither here or there. As for the Flash, especially given the real world implications and the relative decline in film reception with DC, first of all, that film was in production hell for years. Then you have Ezra Miller's mental breakdown. The Flash was going to flop regardless. I mean, come on. I'm not going to blame Andy Muschietti for that.
yeah,
Like, come on. He made the best out of a bad situation. Sometimes it just boils down to a bad script and you make the best of what you can. Now Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, the action sequences, that was fine. It's the writing and the cameo fests at the end that gave you the most issues.
yeah, yeah. I'm very interested in the future of the DCU as a whole with what's going on with the other characters. Like, oh, question: if you were to get a character that's his own project with a big or dip, okay, there was supposed to be a project announced but never heard about again. It was a Bang industrial project. Remember that project? There was a Bang industrial team movie in development. That's
Bane,
kind of, yeah, that film. Like, is that film still alive or well, or did Young revive it, or because I
at
think it
least
was a
at
project
least
before.
Najee, Najee, you asked me a question.
Yeah,
Thank you. At least from my perspective, we have not seen anything. At least I haven't seen anything on that. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they still wanted to get that in development, kind of be an answer to Deadpool and Wolverine, but that remains to be seen on that. We have no official confirmation one way or the other. The most recent update we received was the Dynamic Duo animated project that was going to officially be standalone. As of last week, it has been confirmed that Dynamic Duo is going to be standalone.
oh, okay. So how is that? Okay, so question about the Dramatic Duo. What's your thoughts on the animation style of that
It's intriguing. I'm intrigued by the use of puppets. Actually, doing. I commend DC trying to do something new.
or Spider Verse? Wait, if you were to do that beyond Spider Verse film, can it work today?
First of all, a lot of people would actually want to see a Batman Beyond film, but it would be hard. The only downside to that project is getting someone to replace Kevin Conroy. That's going to be your biggest challenge because you need someone to play Old Man Bruce to be a supporting role.
Yeah,
That's going to be your biggest hurdle because you have to find the show must go on. You got to replace Kevin Conroy as Old Man Bruce. And after Kevin Conroy passed away,
yeah,
it's just not worth the hassle. At least with Injustice, that's more commercially sound. Say what you will about the story, but at least from a profit standpoint, at least from a business and profit standpoint, that the game and a plausible Injustice 3 is more probable to where you can get like Jason O'Mara, well, not Jason O'Mara, Bruce Greenwood. God, thank you, God.
yeah,
He's no Kevin Conroy, but Greenwood can get the job done.
yeah,
But but yeah, I would put if I had to pick a new Batman actor, at least on the animation side. I would put Bruce Greenwood over Jason O'Mara anyway.
Yeah. Now, if there were someone make like a fan project and sort of DC and say, I want this made, how much, if they were to do that, can they do that with a budget? So would send a project, like a viral video of make the next Better Beyond animation project with Blender or just 2D, 3D hand drawn animation with 3D if I can that be good for WB saying that, hey, someone made this, we get them on board, we got Back Beyond project, and that'll be good for now for Back Beyond. That'll be a good idea. Because there are animators and people who make good DC projects these days, man made, to get
Rema-
one.
Remains to be seen. Warner Brothers has been very unpredictable the past couple of years. That's all I
Yeah.
can say on that. That
I,
that is all I can say on that.
I don't know how if I were working with WB, like if I were to work with the anime studio WB, how that would feel if I work with WB, just in general, like as a person, like if I work with WB, like I'm not saying never, like if I don't I'm not working there, but let's say I work at WB as a consultative of the animation industry at DCU, what could I do? Like I don't know. I've been doing a lot of stuff, but just a question, JE.
Okay, what was the question?
My question is, if I were, let's say, if I were working with WB as an intern or consultant of the making of DC Universe, like an animation project for pitching an animation project for DC Universe, like a Bad Beyond a, or any other character, but can be established for a comics book side to anime side. Can it work today by Starfire or other characters by Booster Gold?
It would just depend. Now, nothing wrong with spinning off from live action to animation, but that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah,
Creature Commandos is relatively self-contained. Yes, it gets later referenced by other projects, but Creature Commandos, you could argue, at least from a structural standpoint, is self-contained in case it wasn't received well. But it would just but doing that consistently is a major risk. High is a major risk. I'm not going to say it's a high risk, but it's a major risk. So it would just depend whether how much Warner WBD wants to commit.
yes, and yeah, I tried to go to PMS guys, and I totally need try to eat my dinner. You know, I gotta get up to go a few minutes, some sleep. So you want to start? Do you want to do this, or cause I need dinner?
Oh yeah, that's perfectly understandable. We were just getting ready to wrap up anyway.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry, folks. This was going to be a relatively shorter one, just a brief overview of Creature Commandos. Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Najib, happy belated birthday. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. I'm happy that we're still doing this, man, because I haven't seen you in a while. Both of we can talk again with I can talk to you with Dick and Divya again. 'Cause I like to bring up some comic book stuff because I feel it's about Marvel and DC's future in the comic book industry now with what's going on with changes and stuff going forward. Because we know that Marvel's side with the new universe Ultimate Comics, and also there's a new Amazing Spider-Man comic coming out from Marvel with a Norman Osborn team to as a mentor for Spider-Verse characters. And for the DC side, John Kent, young John Kent came back, but also we're still getting if we're still getting older John Kent, both in the versions of different character ages, canon can't work with DC Marvel as well. So we got DC side with John Kent coming back, young John Kent, but how do we get old John Kent? And we get Marvel side with Spider-Man 1 with the whole thing about Norman Osborn mentoring a Spider-Verse characters in the series. And plus we get the Ultimate Line books, and also we're getting books getting canceled as well. So I want to talk about that with you, JE, in a future video discussing any comic book stuff from Marvel and DC segment. You hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
So
I appreciate you taking the time to come onto the show, man. And yes, we'll definitely something again in the future. Hopefully, it'll be sooner rather than later.
yeah, I want to do with comic book stuff for with Nick and Tibia and what's his name as well.
Sure. We'll set something up. Just let me know in enough time, and I receipt check with them and their schedules, and I'm sure we
Yeah,
can find a way to set something up.
yeah.
But
One more thing
anything.
want to ask you. Um, what's your thoughts on Doomsday? Recent stuff on Doomsday.
First time someone's actually asked me that.
Yeah,
Okay, I have not. All right. Marvel has been receiving diminishing returns for a while,
yeah.
and like
I
because
heard about that.
I'm old, yeah, and this is not the 2010s. Like people are not going to be engaged with the same things, and
That can be good. Uh,
sorry about that. Basically, with Avengers Doomsday, this is make or break. I mean, you're going to reboot either way, but if you can really sell this movie on a high note, rather than doing a duology with Secret Wars straight to Doomsday, I would try to turn it into a trilogy, do Secret Wars Part 1 and 2, and then Doomsday. No, wait,
yeah,
Doomsday, and then Secret Wars Part 1 and 2. That's how I would do it. Try to make it a full on trilogy. That way you have more time to space things out.
and
That that
I do have a question about also one more thing. We just got news on Disney's future with new CEO, leaving a new CEO and a co-CEO. What do you thoughts on future Marvel with that?
remains to be seen, man. I would have to research that. This is the first I'm hearing of that, so I would have to look into it before I can give you an honest answer.
Okay, I just
No, no,
okay.
I appreciate you asking me. I just don't have an answer for you right now. But I do appreciate you
We
asking.
just got news on a new CEO and a co-CEO joining Disney for the future of Disney, including Marvel and Star Wars, and also Dave Filoni's the new person of Star Wars now. So that's one new story I did hear about recently. Cool news for you know. But Jiggy, I do have to go. I talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah, no, we're just wrapping up right now. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. Like, flame off.
Bye.